bring in Sanjay Puri of Pimak, because he comes from a family which has been associated with edible oils business, I think, since 1933. And Pimak was a must in every Kashmiri household. We only cook in mustard oil as much as possible, as Mr. Kachru will attest to, Ruhi will attest to as well. So, Sanjay, it's not easy being in business in Kashmir, is it?
No, I don't agree with you. First of all, thank you very much, Kaveree, for having me here. And you were
Yes.
talking about an alternative dialogue. If there's somebody who's going to give you that, it has to be somebody who lives in Kashmir and who
Yeah.
understands, this place. So you hear about Kashmiri having a problem and the businesses there having difficulty. Well, I got a call about 10 minutes back. They've declared some lockdown there. But first of all, let me say that that's something which we have this never say die spirit,
Yeah.
which we have in Kashmir and in Jammu. And but even before that, let me thank Ruhi and Dr. Kachru. They represent the most beautiful people on this in this
I
country.
agree with you.
I'm sorry, Kaveree, I missed you on it.
No,
Because
no.
people, they're the fairest, the most intelligent, and the most cultured.
Yeah.
If you go and have a cup of tea at Chai Jai, and she made it open, this is next to Suffering Moses. Now, when she talks about, a family of poetry, I mean, everything in Kashmir is poetry.
Yes.
Chinar, the floating gardens, the mountains, the lakes.
Yeah.
I don't know what is not poetry. The paper mashi. Now
Yeah.
she has opened a store next to the Suffering Moses, which is one of the most beautiful paper mashi places in the
Right.
in the world. I remember as children walking up the Bund
Yeah.
and then walking all the way up from that side behind the Adus and all the way up to the Secretariat,
Yeah.
walking all the way to Lal Chowk, and it was such a beautiful walk.
Yeah.
I wish those times would come back, but they're still there. They're there with us in my memories. But there are good things happening in Kashmir today, and I would want to focus on that. It
Yes.
still provides you a better opportunity than many places in the world. And you're talking about bakeries because I think she mentioned about Amul butter. Sorry, you should have mentioned about Pima oil as well.
Yeah. And also your flour.
If I had come to the Harissa
So
part of it, I
you
would have
must check
done
out.
that.
We sell the finest flour in the country,
Right.
and the flour that
And
I
that
got.
flour goes into making bakar khani, I believe.
Yes, Bakar Khani. They do that is Bakar Khani is with ghee and they give it on engagements,
Yeah.
on weddings, on birth, and it comes from the Nanka side. It comes from the maternal side.
Yeah.
So the way it's done also, and it's there is a lot of Sufi culture in Kashmir, and we have this Magdum Sahab. And we go there on the Thursdays, and people go Thursdays, Fridays. You climb up that next to Hari Parbat.
Yeah.
You climb all the way up. Or niche ek dukaan hai. There is a store which sells you this, there's rots and parathas, and they serve it with halwa. And then they have,
Amit, is it still there?
Yeah, it is there.
Okay, great.
Magdum Sahib will be there forever, and so will be those small stores there, which they make those paratha kind of rotis. And they say you can't, if you want to check out a Kashmiri, the guy should be able to balance a kangdi in his kambal, which is about 10 kilos, and sleep with it, and it shouldn't fall. And then he should be able to break open a gushtaba. Now that's a big one with his bare hands, and if it has to be made in pea mark oil, by the way, huh? and then also should be able to name about 20 different types of bread.
Rotis.
And none of them is the paranthas that you eat in Punjab.
Yeah.
They have their own culture in Kashmir. And then why should I miss out on Jammu? Jammu, we have a cuisine we call for Fenis and the Katlammas.
Yeah.
And the weddings may ghayur that you give to the son-in-law. So bakery and maida and bread, and you do, you have simpler things. You have
don't forget khata meat.
Khata meat, fine. But I want to focus a little bit more. Yeah, how can I forget the khata meat? And but I was saying that also the mattis and like Punjab, but also our
Well
own
done.
culture, our Jammu and Kashmir has done bakery proud. And I was in Turkey. Now, when you talk about Central Asia, I found that they'll do a lot of rotis and naans, which we
Which
call
are like,
lavazas there,
Yeah.
as you were saying,
Yeah.
and
Right.
they call, they have their own names for that. I would
In
remember them.
fact, I got the feeling that Jammu and Kashmir is like our France. We talk about France and its bread, and its breads and its cheeses. Jammu and Kashmir also some great cheeses.
that's
Sort
true.
of which are being produced locally. I'm sure, I don't know, Ruhi, whether you are stocking them in your there is this American, I think, who's based out of Jammu.
There is, yeah, there is
Yeah.
Chris who works in Pahalgam, and he packages the cheese. And we use the mush crutch quite a bit. Used it
Okay.
on the pizza and served it in other ways. But there are many
Right.
department stores stocking it. Yes.
So there's
Right.
so much variety to Kashmir food and Kashmir food products.
And you don't
So,
forget
Kaveri,
Pampur,
one thing I wanted
and
to
do
ask
not
Sanjay.
forget Pampur, and do
Yeah.
not forget the saffron. And
Yeah.
outside the saffron fields, there are these bakery stores. So if you're coming down to Srinagar and you go through Pampur and you find these phenomenal, bread that they make, then keep them
Irmal.
decorated so
Yeah.
beautifully on the road. And this is how the life. It's a poetry in Kashmir, the way the life goes. So
Yeah.
when you say it's difficult to do business in
So,
Kashmir,
so Sanjay,
no,
how
it's
does
very
this now
difficult.
go to the rest of the country?
Yeah.
How does this go to the rest of the country? I mean, do you think e-commerce can be a vehicle to take all these products
I'm
to
sure
the rest of the country?
that's one way. That's one way. But the shelf life is a consideration.
Yeah.
And the Kashmir has been a valley. So it's a very big valley. It opens up like no other valley in the world. And once you come into
Right.
Kashmir, when you come down the Banihal Road and the valley opens up in front of you, it is the valley of the most beautiful valley in the world. The Kashmiris don't want to sell anything or give anything out of there. Of course, we can grab some saffron and it goes all over the world. Bakery, the
Right.
people have to develop that taste, but it's phenomenal. Now we are also, in Kashmir also we have bakery from cakes and all, which are becoming a part of our lives. But traditional Kashmiri bakery gives everybody a run for the money. It's a beautiful culture. It's a beautiful thing. It's given my family so much, and we've tried to give it back. You see, when you said PMark mustard oil was not the first thing which started. Kashmiris were earlier, before the PMark came in, they used to use alsiga oil, linseed oil.
Right.
So that was also, it's still used by very poor families, but that's gone. So PMAR gave them a very good quality oil. And now we have these Vazas who would not do anything else. One of my favorite is Mamvaz. The guy does work for Tawaza also. And he can make you the most mouth licking, food in the world. So we then finally, my business, we started doing flour milling in around 80s. And now there is rice that we are looking at. There is a different variety of rice in Srinagar. There's a different variety of rice that they use in Jammu. Jammu Basmati is very beautiful. It's one of the finest you can get anywhere. And it's also organic. So that's an opportunity there. And this is how I feel about my state. I think it gives everybody an opportunity to come and work in the most beautiful place in the world. And there are problems there which are there in the world, but I feel that hope is the most important part of this thing. I've seen Kashmir being more peaceful than many places in many parts of this country. I would say when you read about what's happening in UP, and we heard about the Dubai and Vikas and all this kind of stuff, I think Kashmir is much safer.
That's true.
And things are getting better in Kashmir also and in Jammu. And you have to empathize. You can't come and tell people you're wrong and you don't understand. That narrative has to change. You have to first empathize with the Kashmiris. You have to understand the history, the background, and you find them to be the most gentle and the most beautiful businesses, most beautiful people who do very fair business. And that's a great opportunity for anybody who wants to come
Yeah.
and work there.
Ruhi, I just want to bring you in quickly and then we'll go to Ishan as well.